Welcome to Senior Citizens Talk. My name is Kivumbi Ernest Benjamin for HICGI News Agency. There are certain traits that define a personality. Often many people are known of what they stand and what they believe, what they have done, and what they aspire to become. My guest today is a prominent character in the politics of the nation of Uganda. He is known for special traits that have been existing in his life and his followers and changed for a number of years. John Ken Lukyamuzi is a former member of parliament for Lubaga South, and he is the president of the Conservative Party. Welcome, John Ken Lukyamuzi.
Thank you very much, Benjamin. How are you?
I'm okay.
Yeah, I'm happy to see you at my home. This is my private home. I hope you like the atmosphere.
It's so beautiful, especially if a man like you is an environmentalist.
Yes, I have the crotons, very robusta, acacia. Very beautiful mango trees and various species. They look alike, but the products are different biologically. Yeah.
Absolutely. Honorable John Ken Lukyamuzi,
Yeah.
you have been known to stand for Buganda.
Yes.
Does Buganda have a special position in Uganda?
Yes, it has. And do you mind if I recite a poem where you will discover that?
You're welcome, Honorable.
My poem is titled Uganda is Paradise, and it was recorded first in 2013 in Parliament. I presented in Parliament when Buganda was marking 20 years of the Kabaka on the throne. So we were given a rare opportunity which has not occurred in the past before Speaker Kadaga to move a motion of thanks to the Kabaka of Buganda, thanking him for directing Buganda properly. And the poem reads as follows. Uganda is paradise. Uganda is the land of the sun. It is the land of the lions. It is a land of the gorillas. It is the pearl of Africa. At the Murchison Falls, which is one of the most famous falls in Africa, when the lions roar, the giraffes yawn, and the rains fall. Uganda is a nation of many nations with diverse peoples, diverse cultures. The Aru, Purukot, Kalamajong, Iteso. They are also kings, prominent kings, cultural kings, traditional kings, Emormori, Umukuka, Adora, Ruoti, Obusinga, Kyabazinga of Busoga, Omukama of Bunyoro, Omukama of Toro. Excitedly, in Buganda, the Kabaka reigns. He does not rule, but he still commands. Hey!
Commands.
Hey! There are also beautiful birds, the red eagles, nestling ants, the shoe-bill stork, the African skimmer, the fish eagle, the crested crane, the crested crane, the crested crane. That's the poem.
Thank you, Honorable Lukyamuzi. Does Buganda have a special position in Uganda?
It is not necessarily a special position because we believe in nature tributes. There are cases of extreme in terms of size for aspects of life which are determined by Almighty God. When you are born big, my child may be born small, and he is light. All those circumstances of nature dictation. God is preserved. So it's not a special position per se, but when Uganda became a nation in 1961, through the conference called the London Lancaster House Constitutional Conference, which comprised the 15 regions, that is when the perception arose. 15 regions sat and determined how they would move to gain independence from the British. The story was exciting and interesting. They had to determine how to be formed, because before the Uganda existed, it was a protectorate, non-existent in structure. So there were two reports presented in that conference. They were a constitutional conference, a replica of the Odoki Constitutional Commission review. One was by Professor J.V. Wild, an Odoki semblance. The other one was Lord Master. Each one was given a mandate to go around what would be the protectorate at that time to find out the realities on how people wanted to be governed. The first report of that nature was presented by Professor Wild. He presented a straightforward report that in his findings, he did not hesitate to recommend that Buganda be given an independent status to gain independence on its own accord.
Is that documented?
It is documented in the book I gave you. I think I gave you a book. I give you a copy.
Those who oppose the notion of federalism believe that if other states are empowered, others will be left behind. And that's why people like now the Hicgi, who also founded, your friend who founded the Federal Alliance, now left opposition to NLM, and you have stood for federalism, are not explaining to the people the good thing about federalism. Probably that's why President Museveni is opposing the idea.
No, Betty Kamya Honorable, who is now the Hicgi, I think she misconceived the naming of the party. In the United States, the story of federalism started with the Federal Papers. You have read about that. And those determined the destiny for the Constitution of the United States in 1776. But the point here is, why did the Americans not choose to name one of the parties Federal Party? Because they would demean the federalism notion should that party lose an election or become unpopular. That is why in the Ugandan context, I think predominantly it is the Conservative Party that has relevance of federal existence in terms of idea. And in doing so, to ensure that that constitution would last, they realized that the cornerstone of Uganda's problems lay on the ambition of participants and contestants to measure the time they would spend in power, and they put a term limits. They put term limits to the extent that any leader who came to power as president would not exceed 10 years. And anybody who came to power as president should not go beyond 75 years in age. Museveni and the company scrapped unilaterally those provisions and therefore put an exit on the transit line that would ensure the longevity of the Constitution.
You opposed that when you were in Parliament, but we are seeing also that China has lifted it, and Russia, if he's not a president, is not. You're seeing Benjamin Netanyahu coming and living in Israel, and we're seeing other countries. So is it about age? Is it about the time that you stay in power?
No, the phenomenon is all associated to Namu's objectives. I asked you a question here when you asked me something. I said, was it by coincidence that those that pioneered Namu's objectives were all leaning on the left? Yes. These are the people who always talk about non-interference in their affairs. Those are the people who are always sending mercenaries to other countries. And those are the people always involved in armed conflicts. A confusion of our political climate. And it is, in fact, we should regret that NAM could hold a conference in Uganda. Because the main objectives of those people is to ensure that nobody talks about them, nobody should control them. They're supposed to rule until they die.
But these are representatives of half of the world's population, 120 countries, and they're entrusting Museveni to lead them for the next 3 years. So what is wrong with having that belief if it is for the people?
But you see that that organization does not have a secretariat. It was stuck since it took place, its meeting took place in Azerbaijan in 2019. It is Museveni who went to kneel before them and to ask for permission to organize. And they said, if you have the money, we sanction your idea. But Uganda, so poor as it is, with a debt burden of almost 100 trillion shillings, could not afford to hold such a conference. This is why you have heard recently that most of the government institutions are going to be bound up into very few. There were about 100 institutions. They are going to be scrapped because of financial problems. Now, I can see a problem because very soon, as I speak now, there are times when members of parliament are not paid for up to two months as a backlog. And it is going to happen. It is going to worsen.
But there have been the beneficiaries of huge sums of money and lots of benefits they are having. I mean, they don't care about other people. If you look at the salary of the member of parliament, it is too much.
Not only that, Benjamin, even the number of members of parliament, that figure is inconsistent with the cost of living in Uganda. India has a population of 1.4 billion people. It accommodates MPs numbering to 520. We now have about 557 MPs, including ex-officials. So where are we going? Very soon, do not be surprised that when people get bound up, you could expect a coup d'etat anytime from now. The only opportunity which Museveni has had to keep away the coup d'etats is that those that would have ignited the coup d'etat, including many politicians in Buganda, fear to get their king returned to exile. Because the moment we ignite that fire, he will automatically go away, run away, before the fruits of the coup d'etat take off, and that there is no certainty that he would come back. There is a problem. So a big existing problem. How does Uganda redesign its constitutional framework to make sure that the benchmarks on transition are guaranteed? What the Constitution talks about in terms of Article 3 is good enough, but very few people could risk taking up any means possible to rescue the Constitution from abuse.
Talking about the transition, you have been, you opposition politicians have been threatening those ones in power. When they leave, you're going to persecute them, you're going to sell everything they have. Could that be the reason why that harmony in transition is not guaranteed in Uganda? Because the threats are too much, and we've seen that in several parts of Africa when existing heads of state, when they leave, they are hunted down, they're killed, they are made poor, and sometimes they exile.
Yeah, but there are characteristics that could see sense in what you're talking. There are others that become naive enough not to understand. I think Arap Moi of Kenya was good enough to see the advantage of designing a law of that nature on transition. And I think he agreed with those reformists in Kenya that should he leave power, he would be protected. I think Museveni would be resistant to believe that if he did so, he would be safe because of possibly the bad activities that could get him dragged to the ICC in The Hague regarding genocide and many other offenses, criminal offenses he has committed. So the way forward, is it?
No.
Not yet.
When you were in the Parliament of Uganda,
Yeah.
you and your colleague now, who has a job with President Museveni as a Minister of Environment, made some people get killed on the Mabida demonstration.
Yes.
And you have stood for environment.
Yes.
But we are still seeing that the environment in Uganda and is still at risk. The rate at which the forests are being cleared is at 30%. 30% of the forests have been cleared in the last 30 years. That means the next 5 years, 10 years, we don't going to have any forests in Uganda. We are seeing encroachment on wetlands. We are seeing a lot of things. What is that you people are failing to help Uganda, to help the country?
No, the situation is worse than what you are stating. As far back as the 1990s, the deforestation amounted to about 23% of the original content of the forest. But as we speak, only 9% of that is remaining. As if that was not enough, what about the wetlands? The rate at which reclamation of wetlands is taking place is absurd, is terrible. President Museveni is deceptive because he does not mean what he says. Recently, he came up to say that he was mounting a big undertaking to rescue the wetlands. But what about the biggest wetland in Luera, which is nearing extinction? That wetland is internationally protected, but he has allowed the Chinese to grow rice. And the rice growers there are using herbicides, Dicquat, glyphosate, 2,4-D. And those chemicals will negatively affect aquatic lives, including the fisheries and the water content.
Away from the standpoint, we would like to know, how is Conservative Party performing these days?
We are not doing very well, but we are still in existence. But we are also proud that while we have problems of finance, we have not been compromised. A number of key political parties are dying off after being purchased by the government. We are still intact, and we have a big case in court. We may look like a small party, but in the eyes of Museveni, we are not. Because during our stay in Parliament, we got money allocated to us by Parliament as a result of being represented. But some other bad people had been deployed to steal that money, and we intercepted it. But they have not returned it to us. They should have done so under the Leadership Code Act because it protected the taxpayers' money.
How much is the money?
I cannot say the amount, but it is some money.
Now, there are coalitions that are happening right now to see if they can have joint efforts to oust President Museveni. We are seeing Dr. Hicgi trying to come up and join the National Unity Platform and see if they can have forge a way forward. But of course, DP, of course, had marriage with NLM, and the same thing we saw with UPC. So is there a formidable force that is capable enough with the united opposition to oust Museveni out of power?
Well, first of all, after the formation of this quasi-unity or inter-party system between NUP and FDC, which is still in wrangles, we are not certain that the exercise will end well. But we hold the view that we must be thinking hard to generate another wing, which will not be necessarily in opposition to what they are doing, provided we guarantee that in the very end, we should have a single opinion of a single candidate.
And are you coming back for Member of Parliament Lubaga South?
I'm not ambitious to come back, but there may be forces to force me back because the circumstances under which governance in Uganda is in are very worrying, and many people think that I still have the capacity to help those that can enforce things meaningfully.
Okay. Now, John Ken Lukyamuzi, as we are yet to finish, we would like to know your childhood life and your political ambitions way back. Please.
In summary,
You may give us not a summary.
were you right from childhood?
Yes.
Well,
Who is John Ken Lukyamuzi?
I'm John Ken Lukyamuzi, the man. I was born in Kyabakuza, Masaka, and I went to Kaboko Primary School. My mother and father were not living together, so I spent most of the time with my mom in Lutunga, Kyotera Road, on your way to Kyotera. You have heard about that?
Yes, towards
that is now Kyotera district.
Yes.
So I grew up in the hands of my mom, assisted by my jaja, the maternal grandfather, who was a village chief and a Kabakaika man. So that's why I have a bias towards the kingdom. I went to St. Andrew's College. By the way, my history is interesting because I was in P5 when I was elected to debate for this primary school. And I used to win those small debates. And at one time I was also selected to be the distributor of the cards that would stop pupils from speaking Luganda. Once you speak Luganda, they give you a card. If you stay with it, you suffer a penalty. During our primary living examinations, it is said that we all passed. It was a good school, St. John Bosco. St. John's. So when we did the final exams, we were told after April, after May, after March, the results were not coming out because we all passed, so they were not releasing the results. I got confused, and because I had known some people, someone advised me, a person called Ikita, that why don't you, instead of going to a bad secondary school, you come, I take you to the brothers of the man Badnakaloli at Katende, Mpigi, and you repeat.
Okay.
So at that time, to repeat, you had to change the name. Initially, I was John Ken Katongole. So I moved to my father's name, John Ken Lukyamuzi.
So you are now saying a Katongole we've never known. Okay.
Yes. So I went to Katende. Because I had two parents, I was given double pocket money. When I reached at those brothers, when you stay in their monastery, you have to work hard in terms of digging, cultivating. So I used part of that pocket money to get a Cuban to do some work for me as I concentrated on paperwork. When the exams came, I was the third best in Buganda.
In Buganda. So
I had access to, since most of the best schools were in Buganda, you could even say I was the third best in Uganda.
Wow.
So I had to choose any secondary school I wanted, including Budo. I chose St. Andrew's College, Kitovu, where I came from. I was admitted at Kitovu. When I went to Kitovu, I found two prominent debaters, very prominent. One of them was Edward Kitaka, the son of a prominent doctor of letters in Uganda, Dr. Nsimbi. You have heard about him. And Bakurumpaji Wamala. Bakurumpaji Wamala later became Secretary General of UPM with Museveni. And when they won the war, he was appointed to be the Uganda's permanent representative, but he was all of a sudden poisoned and he died off. He did not go to New York. So at Kitovu, I was impressed by those two debaters. One was the senior debater, the other one was the second one. You know, in the fashion of debating at school, you have either first proposer, second opposer, okay? Bakumpaji was always the first opposer or first proposer. Kitaka was second opposer or second opposer. At the stage of senior 2, I don't know where I got all the opportunities of developing into a tough debater. They included me in a debate where I was a second opposer, combining my efforts with someone in senior 5, 6. And we won the debate where I was spotted by Professor Mazui, who was on that occasion the guest of honor. And I could not believe. So Professor Mazui said, is it true this young man is from senior 2? The teacher said, yes, he is. He could not believe. So he said, do you mind if you talk to your parents? So that during the rest of your time in the secondary school, during the holidays, you can freely come and spend your holidays at our residence so that you get access to the periodic regular lectures in the main hall at Makerere. I couldn't believe that. So in some of the holidays, I went to Makerere before I even graduated. And when I reached senior 4, automatically I had to go for a job in the Makerere Department of Political Science, working as a research assistant. I had already learned the tactics of research through the periodic interaction with Professor Mazoe. The experience I found in the Department of Political Science will never leave my mind. I found a distinguished combination of intellectuals, very uniquely associated to the Faculty of Social Sciences, where Professor Mazui was the dean. Professor Mazui was a prominent politician. He had attracted the attention of so many scholars all over Africa, to the extent where many people thought that he was probably the vice chancellor of Makerere University. Wow. And he attracted grants of research from Carnegie, from CIDA, from Rockefeller Foundation, from Ford Foundation, to the extent where he had to distribute away some of them to related departments in literature and history. At that time, I also enjoyed the company of the lecturers in the department. Nobody would belittle me because I was working with the boss. I saw the late governor of the Bank of Uganda, Professor Mutebire. At that time, he was on his holidays after senior 6. That is before I myself would go to the senior 6, to the A level. And he was employed as a reporter, a person from Makerere College School. After senior 6, you get employment as a reporter of Uganda Gas. And you report Professor Mazui's paper in the main hall, which presentation ends by as late as 12 or even 11:30. The following day, that paper would be on the top page of Uganda Gas without computers. I'm narrating the significance of the Mutebire academic capability. I could not understand. There was no computer. Mutebire was a very brilliant scholar, and Uganda lost a very able-bodied scholar. The little I can say about Makerere is that I think to an extent, because I lived in Makerere for some time, I got interested. I was supposed to have gone straight to the university, but I got enticed by so many persuasive activities of an intellectual nature also. I was appointed to be an occasional program producer for Uganda Television, youth program.
Hey.
I was a small teacher in Namirembe Secondary School, teaching fine art. I was very good in fine art. And one school, small school in English literature. So there was a delay for me to go to university. I was still enjoying the opportunity of interacting with the population with various attachments. But I would occasionally go to the college school and debate. So when I found myself ready to do the A-level, I did that, and I passed, and then got accepted for one university, Somerset in UK. I was going there periodically and coming back. It was not full time. And I was helped by Makerere Institute of Social Research. They gave me accommodation, small office. It is during that time that I also founded the Wildlife Clubs of Uganda and the School Leavers Association, Uganda School Leavers Association, and even designed a journal called the School Leaver Journal. A certain time, after graduating from the University of Somerset, I became actively involved in some local politics. But that was before, during Idi Amin time, I was elevated to the position of national chairman of Uganda Youth Council. Yes.
We are still at the Senior Citizens Talk with John Lukyamuzi, the man, president of the Conservative Party and former member of parliament for Lubaga South. Honorable, you are still telling something interesting to us.
Where did I stop, by the way?
You were talking about your experience in Paris.
Wapakabulo, I think Wapakabulo saw some personality imagining me, and he was excited about my choice of areas of intervention. I talked about matters of a significant nature, matter of public importance area, State of the Nation address by the President, procedures, okay, those three areas, and then constitutionality. So on a number of occasions when Wapakupulo gave me the opportunity to speak, and he found that I was so steady and elaborate enough, he would stop ringing the bell, and I could speak for as long as 40 minutes. So cabinet complaining, cabinet ministers complaining, and then Wapakabulo said, sorry, yes, I give that young man, sometimes I give him even up to an hour, because there are occasions when he speaks like a small professor, and I would like the audience in Parliament to share that glory. And they will convince them. So I went on specializing in those areas. And I think in the 7th Parliament, the other very exciting moment of my performance was about moving a motion to oblige the government of President Museveni to talk to COIN in 2003 outside Uganda, in Juba.
You, the person who initiated this?
Yes, on the floor of Parliament. The motion took about 8 months, but it went through. I saw many people escaping from the list of being seconders, namely one Mao Nobody. He was fearing to second the motion. He was fearing to second the motion. So whenever they called him for the motion, he was not around. I had to position other people. And at the end of the first session of Parliament, I won a gold medal.
Wow, congratulations.
In recognition of my environment, the leadership code, the East and Central Africa Leadership Award. That was when I won the struggle to spray the waters with the water icing.
Yes.
In appreciation of my efforts. And when I later was elected Vice President of the Global assembly called Global International, accommodating over 100 countries of MPs committed to the protection of the land. Later on, I also moved the motion on the land amendment 2004.
The land issue. Oh my God.
That problem existing today would not have happened if Museveni was sincere about land rights. Because I was proposing that now that the proposition of paying 1,000 shillings as Busura had failed, neither the Busurumani is interested in paying that money. Even the landlord does not want to bother himself collecting 1,000 shillings because it is insubstantial.
Yes.
I moved that the district land boards, in conjunction with the landlords, determine the Busuru fee in accordance with the location of the land and the size. And it passed. Museveni refused to assent to it. And I went back to the speaker second, and he accepted that he would come back after 60 days. He came back and we won. And it became law. But Museveni, because he was insincere about protecting the Bibanja holder as he's deceiving the nation, when I went out of parliament, he took measures to bring another bill to replace it. He was not given time to work. He did not pass money to the tribunals, did not pass money to the district land boards. That is why today you have a big problem. Over 25,000 files of land are in the division of land.
Honorable, as we wind up, there's something I don't know if you are comfortable sharing and clearing the air, because it affected your campaigns.
Yes.
And
About
the
my
rumor
daughter.
was so big.
My daughter.
Absolutely. Could you tell us, did your daughter, the former member of parliament from Vaga South, date the first son, Muhoozi Kainerugaba?
Not at all. Not at all. We have gone to court.
Sure.
Yes, and I think we are waiting for the final ruling any time from now. It was just propaganda for fear of John Ken Lukyamuzi, because it had become a very big challenge to the Museveni government. There was even a time when they wanted me to stand as a presidential candidate. They had given a proposal that I join the Democratic Party and they vote for me as a candidate for the Democratic Party. But I have no regrets to make as I went to court, because according to the story I got a story, and I want to say it live because it has got updates in, I think, top radio. One, Lukyamuzi, who was an ardent spokesperson of NRM, said at one time when we became so concerned about your success in Rubaga, we went to President Museveni with about 3 army officers, and he proposed that he gives us a sanction to kill you. And when Museveni received that news, he said, why kill him? You see how you can make him fail. So what they did was to go for money, physical money, allied themselves with the Katolubwama, who had a program called Kalisoliso in the CBS, and they started singing that propaganda for a whole 365 days, which led to my fall when the elections came. But knowing that I was nearing the grave, I have no regrets to make that I escaped from that disaster.
Honorable John Kembichams, do you have any final remarks on the senior citizens talk?
President Museveni? You mean me?
Anything.
Okay,
yes.
Me. Well, I am happy that you have come to give me time to say something. Because of the fraternity in terms of dealings between you and me, I was able to go to a large extent in terms of narration of the stories about me and my life. Thank you very much.
It's been a pleasure talking to you, Honorable John Kembichams. My name is Kivumbi Ernest Benjamin for the Senior Citizens Talk today with Honorable John Kembichams. Until next time, see you again.